It is time for a valve adjustment. The Honda has 100,000 miles. That's usually when it's recommended. This is an '09 Accord. We're going to go first with the things we need to complete this. Not a lot of tools. Your ratchet, whatever you prefer for removing bolts. Open and wrench, 10 millimeter. Extension, screwdriver. We're going to combine these two, and instead of buying the special Honda toolkit, it's probably worth about $70. We're going to backyard mechanic today with these two. Pliers for the clamps, feeler gauge. This is what will let you know how much to separate the valves and if it's too tight or too loose. Serpentine belt. We use this to loosen the pulley so you can take on and off the belt. Your gasket, high temperature gasket. Let's get started here. So very similar to the change of the spark plug video I did earlier, which I'll post. I'll give a reference here. You have to remove the cover, which you can refer to that video on how to do that. But simply all you have to do is remove 4 bolts and then the cover comes right off. Then you have to remove all the coils, which is also in that video. You just have to unclip, unscrew, and pull out the coil. So I left one here for you guys. You unscrew, you unclip, and you pull out the coil. Now what you could do here is have a systematic way of, you want to remove everything around to be able to remove the engine cover and get into the valves. You have to remove everything that will impede you from doing that. The oil dipstick. Then when you come around, this is the power steering clamp. You're going to remove that as well. So there's the bolt I put right back. I'm going to come around here. You're going to remove the brake booster hose, the breather hose, and last but not least, you're going to remove these 2 screws in here on each side. And that should take care of everything attached to the engine cover, including this hose. You don't have to disconnect it because it's attached to this bracket. Now what's following this is you will find 6 nuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As you're trying to remove the engine cover, many of you may struggle, like I did, to try to pull it off, as the gasket is sealed really well. I would suggest having a screwdriver like so, and there's a spot that is, see if I can zoom on it here, where you can actually stick a screwdriver in there and use this position as leverage, like so, and prop the lid up without damaging that surface area. And what you would do then is you could use this area, maybe use some of the bolts attached in and pull it out that way. Alright, the cylinder head is off. The next thing is going to be aligning our time chain properly. To be able to do that, we have to remove the belt. So the way we do this is we use our serpentine belt, get it on the pulley, pull that down, and you're going to notice the belt's not going to come loose. What we do with that is we grab it and move it over. Good, we let that loose. Okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to align the camshaft where you see the 2 dots, A and B are at the top and C are aligned with each other. So the way we do that is when we go to our engine here, this is the same display right there. And the way you rotate this is not by moving that. You'd be loosening very essential sprocket. The way you would do this, how I showed you, you would remove the belt using the tensioner, and as you can see down there where the socket is placed, that's where the pulley is. And your car is very nice, like most are. You come over to the driver's side and you'll notice there's this hole right there, and that's where the pulley is on the other side. As you can see, the shiny socket through there. So what you do is you grab your ratchet, long extension, you fit that over. There we go, we got that hit there. And as we rotate here, which is the camshaft pulley, we're going to notice our cam chain is going to rotate. Let's see here. You see that? And we'll just rotate till we get the alignment that we need. Alright, to align piston number 1, you have to get A and B on the top and C aligned together. To do that alignment, you can see I have it aligned here. You could see A up there is aligned. You see that dot in the top. And B back there, you see B aligned as well. And then if you look right here, you could see C is aligned with C. I'll pass that on this side. There you can see that those are perfectly aligned. What that tells you is that cylinder 1, which this is cylinder 1, is at top dead center. So you can adjust it at top dead center. This is your inlet, that's your outlet. To refer to your factory manual for the feeler alignment, you can see here cylinders 1, 2, 3, and 4 all have the same valve clearance requirement. The intake is 0.008 to 0.01 inches, and exhaust is 0.01 to 0.11. That's where the feeler comes in play, and here is 0.01 inches. That would be the top number. So we're going to do the exhaust first. It's easier to handle. So what you have to do is you got to feel them. That's why it's called a feeler. I'm kidding. I have no idea what's called a feeler. But here's the exhaust. And what you want to do is you want to insert the feeler, and it should just have slight friction, so that feels pretty good. I don't need to adjust that one. Now when I come to this one, I start feeling here, and I can't even get this one in there. So I know it's not good. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen this nut, which I already did. We're gonna turn it with a screwdriver. So that feels pretty good. So what we do now that we are at the adjustment that we like, and the way we do this without the special tool is our flathead screwdriver is our setting, and our closed end wrench is our locking device. So I hold that firm, and as I close it with the wrench and I tighten down on the setting, I put a counter pressure with the screwdriver like so, and then we want to check to make sure the setting is right how we like it. And there we go. There's a little bit of friction there, so we're happy. We're a happy camper. And let's compare it to this side. And that's about the same on both sides. So we like the adjustment, and we're going to move on to the next cylinder after I do the intake. When you move on to the next cylinder, you don't want to go sequentially 1, 2, 3, 4. What you want to do is you want to follow your manual here, and as you move on to the next one, what you want to do here is you want to make the camshaft pulley turn 90 degrees. So you see that arrow, instead of pointing straight up as it was here, you want that to turn 90 degrees. And then it's time for you to work on cylinder number 3, which would be this one. And we will do that by changing our camshaft here. So remember how we said this is that up arrow has to turn clockwise 90 degrees. So we're going to do that. I'm going to have that pointing clockwise, and we're going to do that. Let me show you again my setup. I have a jack stand here supporting the extension down to the pulley arm, so that way I can crank this without harm. So what we're going to do here, we're going to turn this, and there it goes, it's going clockwise. I'm going to turn that 90 degrees. I'm finding a little bit of difficulty because I didn't remove the spark plugs, so I am fighting the compression of the engine. But if you'd like to make this easier on yourself, I would suggest taking out some spark plugs, and it'd be a lot easier to move. To assist in making sure we're reaching 90 degrees, as it's very important we do, I've added this straight edge that is set at 90 degrees, and when the arrow is parallel with it, we've reached 90 degrees and we can proceed. Now we know that cylinder 3 is at top dead center, and we'll go verify that. After the alignment has been completed, it's time to put on the engine cover. Before you do that, you want to make sure you put your belt back on by pulling on the pulley, grabbing that on. As I mentioned earlier, you want to keep your surface where the gasket is going to meet nice and clean. There's 4 spots where you need to put liquid gasket, and that's right where there is a metal on metal connection. So there'll be some silicone gasket right there, there, and on the opposite side symmetrically. So what you'll do is, here's your cover. I've already put the gasket, I cleaned it, put it on, and there's I'll put gasket, silicone gasket there, there, and there. So that's where I grab some of my gasket here and apply to the surface. There it goes, and all you need is just enough to cover the surface area, like so. Once this gets applied, then you make sure you can put the head cover gasket on top within 5-10 minutes. If it's any longer, you may want to remove and reapply. Okay. Once the head goes on, the first thing you want to put are the engine cover bolts, which are the 6 nuts that we had to remove. Those go at 8.7 pounds per foot. That's the torque on them. And put everything back in reverse. The dipstick, the power steering gasket, brake booster, breather hose, and our little bracket on the side, and then the ignition coils and engine cover. Alright, the head cover is on. You can see the gasket spots, the silicone gasket pieces put in there. See if we can see this one right there. I go ahead and put on the 6 nuts that we need. After that, I'll put in the ignition coils, attach everything as I mentioned earlier, put the engine cover, and I won't start the engine for at least 3 hours. Ideally 24 hours, as that's how long it takes for that gasket to seal completely.